Thank you for joining us for this session. Thank you online. Should I hit I got it or do you got it? Thank you for joining online. We do have some online guests hosting us. This room is super awkward, so great for me. So this, I just want to give us a little context. You can read. I assume most of you have opened this document. If you haven't, you should. But this is a conversation because, again, we are all making this up, right? We can all agree. We just no imposter syndrome. Like literally, we have no idea what's going on. And together, I think we're going to produce much better knowledge than I could just make up for 50 minutes. So if at any point, this is highly engaging, this is highly collaborative. We're going to be talking to partners next to you. You're going to be turning around, talking to folks. You're going to be in a document. If this is not for you, I just want to welcome you to leave. It won't offend me. It'll break my heart. But I feel like if you want to like pretend you have a phone call and then just take your stuff, totally fine. This should be for you, right? The session is for you. So, and the takeaways are going to be really up to you. Again, we're all sharing this together. We're all making this up together. And that's a little bit of my assumptions going into this so you know what you're getting yourself into. So this is activity-based. This is collaborative. And I'm literally just facilitating. A couple rules about the Google Doc. Don't highlight stuff like this person right here who highlighted that. I mean, I understand you're maybe copying it from someone. Highlighting stuff is super annoying. We learned the last session. I made some changes. Thank you all for that feedback. And yeah, don't mess up my document. I know, just don't. Yeah, that person highlighting, don't be that person. Thank you. So the first thing we are going to do, and this is really, I just give a little context, try to give a little more context here. So one of the reasons this whole presentation occurred to me is because I feel like, again, as someone making this up, that institutions literally just have to use AI, in particular non-generative AI, but generative AI to remain viable entities. Like there's just no way going forward that institutes of higher ed cannot leverage AI. And at the same time, at schools across the country, we're telling students don't use AI. So it's this interesting paradox of we have to use it. We're going to use it for recruiting. We're going to use it for administrative tasks. We're going to use it for all these things, but we're going to tell students not to use it. So that's really where this idea surfaced. And again, this is us exploring AI from leadership perspectives in different ways. So the first thing I want to do is this chart, which is just a spectrum of current usage of different AI. And there's just generative and non-generative examples, and either put your initials in or the initials of your institution. And it's just a quick exercise to help us plot where we are on this spectrum of current use. And these are non-teaching related tasks. And it's super quiet, so you can just, you can do this, but maybe say something to your neighbor just so it's not so awkward for me up here. Thank you. Yeah, ask them how to use your phone. Perfect. Maricopa's just rocking it right now. Thank you. Yes, lean over to your neighbor, share some tips. Again, the initials are sort of less important than the quantity of text within each cell. Holy crap. Who just deleted that? Control Z, please. I will bring it up. Can anyone control Z? Can I get version history here? Does anyone know version history? There was a risk that this would happen. You can just admit it. Well, we won't look. Eyes closed, heads bowed. Thank you for church joke references there. We're back. It's empty. Don't up the table. Thank you. Sorry for that. But everyone, yes. Thank you. And don't get mad at your students when they do similar things. I'm not mad. Just disappointed. I thought you were better than that. Yes, we're going short initials this time. A lot of not on radars, a lot of unshores. Obviously, I don't think a ton of us are generally at these conferences in these administrative roles per se, and in different areas where they might be using this. More teaching, learning, instructional design. Yeah, so no one's really doing it. Well, we have a full implementation over here. Yeah, this is just putting in initials, not deleting the text that exists. Thank you. All right, we've sufficiently covered this one, and it seems like we're not sure. There is some usage. There was more usage before an anonymous someone deleted it, but that's fine. I'm not going to bring it up again. So yeah, we're not sure, but let's now talk about aspirations. Where do you think your institution should be? Now we're going to be in part 2, map your future aspirations. Again, not deleting the table, just putting some initials in. Don't do it. All right, let's pretend this was really funny and engaging. It worked. It worked. Online, we were just getting a picture taken, just so you know, in case you didn't see that. Sorry for being stuck behind here also. Excellent. Yes, this is a moment to share with your neighbors. And the idea is, I mean, our institution has peer envy all the time. As long as someone else is doing it, we have justification for doing it. Maybe that's true for you, so you can take this back and see all the folks who say this is essential. Excellent, excellent. Okay, so Heather's leading the way for activity 2. So thank you for that. I just want to recap real quick what we did. We are right on time here. A lot of folks are saying we need to be moving in these directions. And again, this brings up for me the paradox of we need to be doing these things as institutions and yet teaching and learning. So now we want to look at 3 different roles in teaching and learning: teaching for instructor perspective, learning from the student's perspective, and developing from the ID perspective. And put your institution name or your name, and then talk about how much you're using it, in what ways you're using it. This is just an opportunity to share some things that you're doing that you think others would benefit from. And again, to let us understand the extent that we're already doing these things in the teaching and learning enterprise. Again, teaching for teachers, learning for students, and developing for instructional designers. You don't have to fill out all of these depending on your perspective, but go right ahead and add some columns if you know how to do that. Don't if you don't. We are in the gutter is getting deleted there, but I liked it. This is candid sharing. Yeah, and that to me, Tyler, also the paradox there is like, well, what would we even say is cheating? Like, is it cheating for us to identify like the best students to fit our needs? Is it cheating to have records from students that help us make decisions with them? It's very curious. How would we do this? I feel like I should walk around just because I should. Thank you. Yeah, I was going to look at what you were working on there. Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Don't mess up the abbreviations. Yeah, the initials. Geez, floor seating room only. I'm sorry, Michael. This is devastating. No table. It's so far away for you to see. Though.
Oh, that's fine.
Let me get the. Do you want to look on with Michael? I mean, don't let me pressure you or Michael, but it's so far behind. Let me. Michael, could you share the bit.ly? Thank you so much. At the top. Wow, it is so far back here. All right, this is a ton of sharing. Let's look at a couple of these here. Yeah, so this really, I feel like in this teaching one, we can really see that we're making this up, right? Like we need to know more about stuff. There's administrative misunderstandings, increasing buy-in. How are we going to set boundaries and policies? Instructor buy-in, policies, there it is. Skepticism, ethical uses. Students, I mean, obviously students are using it. How different instructors are either promoting that, teaching that, supporting that, disciplining that. Unequal access is a great challenge from the student perspective, right? If we're going to promote it on the one hand and maybe expect it on another, how do we ensure equitable access to it? Hopefully every instructional designer is using it. Of course, I guess we are stealing some people's things. Excellent. So again, this is sort of on you. This is on us. We're sharing this knowledge. I've like nothing to offer you but what you're saying. I'm just like reading what you're saying and hopefully it's insightful. This is a ton of stuff for you to use for conversations at your institutions. This is not, it is all about me. I'm sorry, I was going to lie. This is all about me, but this is all about you all taking this information and doing something with it. So the next one, we did this in the first session today. This is super fun. It's a would you rather. So you go in there, there's two scenarios, hat tip to my colleague who introduced me to this, two scenarios, and just pick one from each of the 4 scenarios about what you would in your role, really from the perspective of your leadership position, prefer given each of these scenarios. And this is really just to help us suss out a little bit, actually, how do we feel about this? In practice, what do we want to see happen in these different areas? So there's 4 different areas. You don't have to do all of them. You can do all of them. I'll add some more rows so someone doesn't delete them. It still has legs. I felt it still had legs. And we've got about, not quite about 10 minutes for this. 5 minutes, I think we said. And again, your job at the end of this, if you want to do something with it, is just to review what everyone said, get those perspectives, potentially run an AI tool next to this and see what comes up. Also a chance to talk to people that you don't want to talk to who are seated next to you. And if we look at this first one, again, there's no right answer. Again, we're making this up. We all have preferences. We all have priorities. That's the point. We can see what other folks are suggesting. This is a case where sharing is caring. The more effort you put into this, the more ideas you share, the better off we all are. No alternative perspectives on option 3 here. We all want to keep our jobs, I guess. Let's do about 3 more minutes, then we'll try to synthesize this a little bit. All right, that's awesome. This is great. So let's look at these real quick. I think there's some paradoxes in here. This is pretty even, right? Like a little bit of both on this one. Like ultimately it's going to be, if we want our jobs, a supplemental tool, right? In everything that we do. We all know the limitations of things like GPT if we've used it enough. And we all know where our subject matter expertise comes in. I'm very curious to know over the next few years when students haven't developed that subject matter expertise the hard way, quote unquote, how they're able to do the critical thinking tasks that we do. But time will tell. So that's pretty evenly split there. Again, more complementary here, like a little bit of both. So are we integrating it in, or are you teaching teachers how to do it better? So obviously, like that's just a huge blue sky ahead of us of professional development in all our roles. And this is where I think this is the most interesting. Like this is pretty heavy on the one side of the educator needs to make the evaluation of student progress, student performance. And yet most people are saying that the AI should adapt to the student's needs. So like literally a contradiction. Just want to point that out. Like straight contradiction, right? I get what we're saying. Like there is this in the moment ability, but we all also have our biases because bias was brought up. I never use blind grading because I want to be able to give the student who knows getting an A because I already know they're getting an A, right? It's just easier for me. I'm just willing to admit my shortcomings as an educator. This is a safe space, right? Hopefully no students are on. No, so we all bring our shortcuts into grading. AI has its biases, we do, but this is super interesting. Again, we don't know, we're making this up. That's the point of this conversation, to look at these comments and help us start developing policies and practices. So for the last, really, it's a little bit less than half. I have 15 minutes, it'll take a little bit longer. There are 4, I think there's supposed to be 4 activities. Are there 4 activities? 4 activities, it says 3, sorry about that. There are 4 activities for you to engage in individually, in small groups, with people, again, that you didn't want to talk to, but really developing, you can do all of them, none of them, but it's a SWOT analysis of AI in different use cases. And I'll add some rows there so you can take that on. So pick a use case, talk about what strengths and weaknesses it might have. Some AI vision statements for different roles. So this will be super helpful. If you're how will instructors use AI from your perspective? How will staff use AI? It might not be your perspective. This one I think is the most interesting. Let's evaluate these policies, add any policies that you have at your school that are not on this list, but talk about their pros, their cons, and how to make them better. My institution has a instructor sort of makes it up policy, even though we give some language around it. So I'd love to see what you're all thinking about these student use policies. And then, of course, it's always useful to have resources, tools, and just any strategies you're using in these different areas of leadership. So I'm going to add a couple more rows. Again, you could do this individually. I'd encourage you to maybe turn around, talk to some folks, maybe stand up, meet someone else. No one's going to do that, but I made the recommendation. So this is really, these are our takeaways here. Doing this activity, coming up with ideas, sharing. And then we'll debrief in about 15 minutes. Appreciate those folks turning around, forming circles, getting to know your colleagues. Thank you for all this insight so far. Keep it up. Got another almost 15 minutes. All right, well, you're all amazing. This is so much great info. I mean, I don't want to even interrupt. You're all collaborating here. We're a few minutes ahead of schedule, so I just want to go over this real quick. Just some things that are jumping out at me as we go through this. Again, the takeaways are up to you. You're going to have to go back. Eddie says you should set an alarm for next week. Open up this document, get some takeaways, start a conversation with some colleagues in your own institution, because this is really up to us to be the leaders, right? We are all making this up as we go along. I think this is so interesting, right? Like we see, and as a society, we're so compelled by efficiency, and I see it, and I think we need to be efficient. At what value do we place that? Efficiency comes up again, time saver again, at this comment down here that at some point we still need to know how to do things. Like, so it's so interesting, right? Again, another sort of paradox of this is super efficient. It saves so much time. We're all so busy. And yet there are these concerns of what's going to happen, like what's going to happen to my job, what's going to happen to student learning. Obviously, instructional design, these are all session presentations in their own, right? Like using, I mean, you can say it, you can put in, evaluate this course according to QM, and it'll do it in your GPT. It knows enough about it to do a fairly good job of assessing. I was going to be a presentation, but then I thought they wouldn't accept it. So yeah, I mean, it does a pretty good job of these things. So love that you shared some resources for everyone. Love these this interaction with these policies. And I do hope that this format was beneficial to you, because again, we are making it up. We don't know what's going to happen. Even talking with a colleague back there, you know, even looking at a student or an instructional designer, there's so many competing perspectives on this. We all just need to be collaborating, developing these things together, and really trying to be leaders, because obviously right now the technology is leading us. So hopefully we can make a small dent in that. So it is 8 minutes early. If you have a comment, come up. This will be the rules. You have to come up and say it in front of everyone. And if not, I appreciated having you. Literally, that's it. Thank you so much for your engagement, participation. Appreciate it. Appreciate all of you.